So I hope my microphone is working. I want to do a quick vlog on Prince Harry, his accusations against me, the threat of a Metropolitan Police investigation that I totally welcome. I was a star witness, their words, for Operation Wheating. I even had my own minder, DC Michael White, for over a year. I have done nothing but cooperate and speak to the police, including Operation Tullata. I don't care for how I've been portrayed by Justice Fancourt. I was a journalist. As you can see, I had a press pass. There's a bit of a glitch there. As you can see, I had a press pass. I don't care how I've been portrayed by Justice Fancourt. What is done is you are spoken about without any kind of recourse. Now, I have been blagged by Graham Johnson and James Hanning. We're going to do a book. We want a book. Oh, it's your book. We'll publish your book. Need an affidavit for that. And then I read yesterday that the affidavit was used for a judge. I have been threatened, and it's been lied about. Graham Johnson said I threatened him. Isn't it more likely the man will threaten the woman? I'm guessing there's a police report then to give the details of this threat. Certainly I reported it to the police, Graham Johnson, when you threatened me. You threatened to kick my door down after I'd been burgled for my Daily Mail remittances. And because of that breach, I had no choice but to report it to the police. And when you rang and threatened me, I was sitting with someone else. So they're a witness to that. And my son's a witness because he heard it as well. So this went on, and literally my then 12-year-old son lived in terror, lived in fear of you. And I had to teach him how to box. I had to keep baseball bats the other side of the door. And this is how we lived in this very isolated river house that you guys put me. So this is left out totally. It was left out totally that I was a journalist running a news agency. It made out that I was a PI all the way along the line. No, not the case. It made out that what it said, that Justice Fancourt, apparently I'm a hacker. I'm a hacker. I'm a computer hacker, everybody. Do you know computer hackers can command as ethical hackers? They call them penetration testers. I could get 50 grand a year if I had that ability. But it's okay for this judge to come out and say horse shit like that. It's apparently okay because I am working class and I don't have any recourse. I don't have any ability. He even wrote down that he took my word over Graham Johnson's. Graham Johnson, who put a 14-year-old in prison for 5 years, and Graham Johnson that thought of the beast of Bodmin Moor, Graham Johnson that confesses he's a professional liar. No question of Justice Fancourt even taking on board anything that I had said. Johnson came along in 2016. He said, oh, the press have dropped you. You were a journalist. You weren't doing anything wrong. Let's get revenge on them. And I joined in with that. So he said, oh, would you say this? Would you say that? And I'm like, yeah. I'll say anything. I wanted my own back. I wanted revenge. Why should I be tossed out of Fleet Street when I was a journalist? This was the way I thought. And I was bitter. I was incredibly bitter, incredibly angry. But you know, it's wrong to go along with that, along with what he wanted. And then apparently it said, oh, I signed something and then I pulled out of it. I pulled out of it because I had a child to protect and I was burgled. The police advised me not to have anything to do with you people. That is why, again, that's left out of the story. So there we were. I had to teach my 12-year-old to fight. He still remembers all this. And he's recently given a witness statement to this effect. Anyway, going back to how I got into the press, again, not spoken about. You just get painted black by Justice Fancourt and you do not have a right of reply. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. And then Prince Harry does a lap of victory saying he slayed dragons. You're not slaying dragons. You picked up the phone and rang David Sherborne. How is that? How is that slaying dragons? And you're getting your own back because the rich and the famous do not like to be written about by the press and don't like to be judged by the press. I guess if I was rich and famous, I'd want egg on it too. I'd want a cherry on the top. There's drawbacks to life. It's not, you're not a priest. You're not in that position. You're in a privileged position. And I'm guessing there's a minus for that. Like there's a minus for being poor. All of this has pushed me into a position of poverty, and I haven't even done anything. I'm completely 100% not guilty. As for a police Met inquiry, oh, I'd welcome that 100%. I was a witness for Operation Wheating and was due to go to court for Operation Wheating, and they said to me, you've done nothing wrong. I came into Fleet Street knowing that journalists were evil. I can't think of a better word. And I was warned by other private investigators, they will try and get you to do criminal things. And when you, or if you do anything that you shouldn't do, anything breaking the Data Protection Act, they will keep a file on you and then they will hand it to the police. I was told that. And indeed, then when I laughed at somebody that had told me, a guy called Bob from Carrot 2, which James Hanning needed to know his name the other week. I think he's dead though. That he said, he then faxed me over a report from David Leppard, someone like that, who had used a private investigator for 3 years. And they said, oh, look what this guy does, this. And he said private investigators can't work for the press. And then another guy, Barry Trigwell, I said to him, why doesn't your agency work for the press? And he said, it's what they do for what we dig up for them. You dig up for them something you shouldn't. And the person that they've written about is allowed to ask, oh, where did you find that from? He said, nobody with a brain works for the press. Now, after that, encountered the press. I, as people will know, was birthed into a mother and baby home by a schoolgirl prostitute, and I grew up then in an orphanage, St. Joseph's, and then another one. I've just found out recently the names of these places. I thought it all came under Crusade of Rescue, but apparently St. Joseph's, and apparently
Paul Samurai or Paul Samurai,
and apparently St. Vincent's, all run by really weird orders of nuns. I mean, I'm going to investigate this. I've just been told I'm going to, so I'm just going to have to tell that person that I am, I'm just getting my records from the orphanage because now I'm allowed full records. I wasn't for a while. And they are run by quite sinister sounding orders of nuns. Then I was adopted and passed to first cousins, and the first cousins, he was 10 years older than her, so he had known her when he was 16, she was 6. So that's pretty sinister. He was a gold-plated paedophile. He preferred children, and he got stuck into me as soon as he could. And I was in trauma from being an adoptee, and in trauma then for having to pay for a roof over my head and the food in my belly by blowjobs to a man I had to call daddy. Sorry if that's uncomfortable for anybody to hear. Prince Harry, is it uncomfortable for you to hear? But of course you slay dragons, don't you? I've never slayed any dragons, but I tell you I have slayed dragons. I've slayed dragons in that getting over having done that is really hard. And that's slaying a dragon, a real dragon. It's not just ringing up David Sherborne and getting scapegoats, because I'm just a scapegoat here and I'm not having it. At the very least, I'm going to say, ouch. But my life's shit anyway. What I'm concerned about is you people hurting my child, yeah? So I'm coming out fighting. And I fight well. Do you understand me? Right, so going back, why I fight well, I'm just going to reiterate, why I fight well is I've God on my side. Do you understand? The Palestinians might be being obliterated and children dying, but they've God on their side. So one might look a victim, one might look on the ground, but when one has God on one side and righteousness, best beware. Anyway, going back to my childhood, my mother then whipped me. She would make me undress, lie naked, face down on the bed, and whip the backs of my legs with a cane. I could hardly walk after, and the skin was ruched. To this day, backs of my legs still throb. Now, I've tried everything, spiritual healing, essential oils, every therapy known to man, but the backs of my legs still throb to this day. I know it's a psychological thing. These people called into account my treatment in the Priory where I went to get over this. What had gone on, saying I went there to spy on celebrities. Let me tell you this, and I swear under God himself, I went to the Priory for myself. Do you understand that? I went to the Priory for me. I went to the Priory to get over having to give blowjobs for a father. Do you understand me, Prince Harry? Do you understand me? Yeah? When I went in there, gobshite journalists who found out, who befriended me, and who didn't really want me as a friend, who befriended me, and they, oh, you're going in there. Can you see who's there? Can you see? Do you really think I did that, Prince Harry? Or do you think I said to Dr. Mark Collins and the other therapist I had in there, do you think I told them and said, and James Hanning so desperate to find this out, oh, do you think he'll stand up for you? Do you think, I mean, James Hanning, who are you? Stand up. If you're working against the press, let it be known out there. You know, let it be known. Let's have some honesty here. Because I've been blagged to bits. Blagged to bits on this. And my son has been affected. My son was studying history. He's now studying journalism because he wants to write about all this and expose these people and expose what went on in his life. Now, I'm going to say that again about the Priory because these, according to Prince Harry, I went to the Priory to, only concerned about celebrities. I couldn't give a damn about celebrities. I was there so I could have a sexual relationship with a man and bear children. That's why I was at the Priory. How dare you even infer that I went there for stinking celebrities? How dare you infer that when I could barely walk? I was bullied by the likes of Miscue. Oh, see if this one's in there. Oh, see if that one's in there. Now, what can you do when you get bullied by an editor? Not journalists, editors. Okay, some journalists. But when you get bullied by them, what can you do? What can you do if you want to keep your place in Fleet Street? Now, let's go back and think about that, my place in Fleet Street. Why did I want a place in Fleet Street and what was going on in my life? Now, I got put back in care age 13. I wasn't sexually interesting to my father anymore. I had reached puberty. He was into children. So he didn't want to pay for food. So I got put in back in care. Completely destroyed mentally, as you would be after all that blowjob action and whipping as well. And that's sexual. If you're asked to undress and face down on the bed and get whipped, that's lesbian pedophilia right there. I haven't even dealt with that and I haven't got the money to deal with that. But let's slay dragons, Prince Harry. It's not slaying a dragon to get over being lesbian, paedophile, sexually abused, because it's rare. I haven't met anyone else that's gone through that. But I have to face that alone. Is that not slaying a dragon, Prince Harry? Is it not? Or should I maybe just ring David Sherborne? So I was dealing with that back in care, age 13, and care is very nice. Care is full of social workers who don't give a shit about you. In my kids' home, there were a lot of black children. I adored them, but I also noticed that they got priority care from social workers who were like trendy left-wing and didn't really care. Then fast forward, somebody came to the kids' home who cared about me suddenly, looked like Jesus, Doug Rodway, and but I had to give him sex in return for that caring. So that was my life in care. I was recently approached by a lawyer who said, oh, we can sue the kids' home, oh, we can sue the Catholic Church. And then after 6 months of jerking me around, after hearing every little detail, and this is all highly suspect, he was like, yeah, me, no proof really. I mean, what's going to happen with my recordings about all that stuff that happened to me? So that's really suspect. I mean, I Googled the guy and looked at his picture and, wow, I think it was written all over his face. So no compensation for me. I haven't got the heart to go and find another lawyer to deal with that. I can't do that. All these people bleat about, oh, I deserve compensation, do I not deserve compensation? I think I do. We haven't got to the best bit yet, though. So I found Ian Brady. Now, I don't know where or why or really how I came across Ian Brady and read that he was adopted and put back in care. And for some reason latched on to Brady and didn't know why. I would say it's to do with my father and my mother. They were a couple who abused me. They sexually abused me together. They would have orgies with me where they undressed and I had to have sex with my mother, my father joining in, riding on the back of me, and threesomes together. Other adults were involved. I was taking paedophile pictures of in Dublin, brought into this, whatever it was, where they abused me together. I was in the Priory, obviously, to get over all the memories. Yet Judge Fancourt sees it fine to say I went to the Priory for celebrities. For shame, Judge Fancourt. For shame on you to not come to me and ask me for my story. You got a man who's lied and lied and lied and lied and is trying to get money and lives in a £2 million house and wants to cozy up to Prince Harry and his new friends, and you took his word over mine. You didn't even want to, over who I am, and you didn't even want to hear from me who I am. for shame, yeah, for shame. Before God, for shame on you, yeah. Anyway, moving forward, I don't know what the Brady thing was about. Now, I thought, yeah, looking back, it's obviously, even though I didn't want to face it then, Brady and Hindley would have had orgies with the children. This is what happened to me. So it's a way of telling, it's a way of speaking about your trauma, because it's a very unusual thing to have gone through that. I believe, anyway. I mean, you know, there's probably loads of people out there that have gone through it, but it sets you apart from other people. You kind of blame yourself. What is it about me? Was I a sexy temptation? Was I evil, like my mother told me? Oh, I was a bastard. I was born of sin. Your mother was a prostitute to do with sex, so you're a dirty, filthy temptation. This is what the child thinks. This is what I think. So you blame yourself and you carry the shame of that. Me going to Brady was me wanting to tell, was a cry for help, a cry for help. What happened? The press found me. Phil Hall, who worked for the Sunday People, I believe it's Mirror Group, isn't it? He found me writing to Brady, and Brady, after about 3 letters from me, invited me to come and see him. I went to go and see him and felt completely overwhelmed. Suddenly it wasn't just, you know, me waving the book around and I'm reading this, showing it to people and trying to reach out and get someone to pull me out of the darkness, to pull me out of this frozen lake I was under and let me join humanity again. Just anybody, somebody, anybody in that kid's home. But there was nobody. Only Doug Rodway, who, you've got great tits, you know. It's almost like, and I do believe that I have carried the sin of my so-called blood mother who went out shagging all and sundry. It's like, I saw her on Facebook recently, and she told me, when I told her I was her daughter, she said, "Nah, you've stolen her records, you're an imposter." And my so-called sister blocked me on Facebook when I said, "Hi there, I'm your sister." Just blocked. These people are despicable. I feel dirty to have their blood. But it's almost like I have suffered for her sins. And to see her happy and with grandchildren actually made me physically sick, because my life's just been suffering. And when I look back, what I see is her out there shagging every road mender she could shag. Why does someone do that? And why doesn't someone own it? Like feel that guilt, what you did to a child? You might as well be a child killer. Anyway, going back to showing the book on Brady, beyond belief, in fact, trying to get help. I remember going to the doctors, not getting help there, saying there's something wrong with me. Not in kilter with other people. I feel lonely all the time. I can't relate to others. This is because you're a sexual abuse victim. Of course you can't. And post-traumatic stress disorder, basically. So Brady invited me to come and see him. Now, my mother ruined my education. I was really bright, got into grammar school, got 95% in all my exams. Mummy Dearest didn't like that, so she would beat me harder. I got the message that she didn't like me succeeding, and in case I caught her daddy's eye, which, I mean, my so-called father stroke boyfriend that I didn't want, my brother joined in with sexually abusing me. That was the last straw. My sexuality cracked, broke, it's never been the same. I don't actually have a sexuality, and my femininity broke. I don't have that. I don't know what it's like to be a woman, and never made love, and so this is what happened to me. And there I was trying to get help, and all I could think of as doing was showing the front cover of this book, Beyond Belief, with Hindley and Brady on the cover of it, and made this connection to Brady, went to see him, was invited to see him, and thought, well, this isn't really connected to me. This is a man in a mental hospital. It's not connected to me. How is it connected to me? I mean, it's just not connected to me. And not connected to me at all. And I thought, well, fuck this. And I thought, I'll just stop writing. Then saw an article in The People of, and this, I had copies of these, but Graham Johnson has hijacked them off me, and James Hanning, and won't give them back. I think they can be got again. They're a matter of record. They're on microfiche. This is because I've been a victim of the press, and they want to kill that. Oh, no, she's a big bad wolf. So I was written about. There's a mystery blonde young girl gone to see Brady. I was 22. I rang Alan Graham, a guy in a detective agency that I knew. He said, come and meet me. And he had Phil Hall sitting there. Phil Hall took me off to a hotel. He said, you've got a choice. You can be the new Myra Hindley, or you can be his long-lost daughter. I was crying. I was hysterical. I thought of throwing myself out the window of the hotel. It didn't occur to me to say, fuck off, you fucking piece of shit. I was working class. I was always taught that middle class were my betters. I just thought, yeah, I got a choice. I can be whatever you say I am. He said to me, I'll take you up to see Brady again, something I didn't want to do. And you ask him if he's your dad. I knew it was ridiculous. It was my cry for help, for having to give blowjobs to my adoptive father and to be involved in orgies with my mother. It was my cry for help. A blind man on a galloping horse could have seen that, the way I was hysterical in the hotel room, but these journalists didn't care. There was two of them. They didn't care. They just wanted a story. They wanted a front page. And, oh, Fiona Wainwright and Prince Harry, you've been through so much by the press, have you? Sorry, that trumps it every single time. To be forcibly bought to see a serial killer and have to say, are you my dad, when you know they're not, that you've just had a book about them and visited them because you've been through a Myra Hindley and Ian Brady orgy situation? Sorry, it pisses all over what you've been through. And Prince Harry. Am I slaying dragons here? And then I had to go in and see Brady. He, I didn't know what the hell to say to him, but I found myself almost as if he were a refuge, almost as if here's someone that might be able to help the shit I'm in, because they know the press. They know what they're like. I said to him, what shall I do? He said to me, you avoid the press. And I couldn't bring myself to say they're waiting outside for me to come out, and they brought me here on a plane. So I went out. Phil Hall said to me, what did he say? He says, your dad said your dad. I said, let me get back to the hotel. And I didn't know what to say. When I got back to the hotel, they showed me the TV and they said, oh, here you are advertising the paper, the Sunday People. And it was me. I flashed on a screen with Ian Brady. And I was 22 years of age at this point and already had been through masses of trauma. And they said, my life obsessed with Ian Brady, how Ian Brady changed my life. Beautiful blonde tells all. I became hysterical. They poured vodka down my throat. They had already taken me to be photographed in a low-cut Lamy thing with red lipstick. The next day, they shoved the paper under the hotel room door. And literally at this point, I'd cut off from my life. I was a satellite floating. It said on the front, I am Brady's daughter. Later, Phil told me when we became lovers that he had written it that way so it wouldn't be a comeback on himself, that I'd said it. Therefore, there'd be no comeback because it would always be something I'd said, I'd claimed, and of course had not claimed it. contrary to Graham Johnson writing that in his book, because he's a liar and he likes to diminish and tell other people's narratives. It's a hugely sinful thing to do. It will ping back on him massively. I actually feel sorry for him because I know that chickens are going to come home to roost massively, massively. The amount of people that man has upset. I'm totally ineffectual in all this. There's real tough, clever men that are very, very angry with him, really angry with him. So, yeah, going back to, I rang Alan Graham, little knowing that he had sold me for £5,000 on a contract with the Sunday People. I believe that Rachel Barry worked with Alan Graham, and that is how they got to work in Fleet Street through Ian Brady, bizarrely. He's at the bottom of all of this. And because it was me that inadvertently brought in phone hacking through John Boyle, my ex-boyfriend. So Ian Brady's at the bottom of everything. Isn't it weird? But nobody will tell that story. They just want, I've got to be a devil in the story. They don't want the real story. Michael Gillard is the only one, but I believe he's busy. He's the only person who doesn't have an ego. You can't have an ego and be a journalist. Journalists are there to report the truth. They're not there to jizz off their own ego and make themselves, I'm an investigator, I found this out, and make themselves look hot diggity dog. It's not the job description. Anyway, so back then, Alan Graham, he'd sold me. I didn't know. I said to him, what do I do? He said, asked to be taken out of the country. So I said to Phil Hall and the other journalist, please take me out of the country. They took me to the south of France. That's why I became lovers with Phil Hall. I believed he'd fallen in love with me. That's pretty stupid. He was getting his leg over and a bullshit story. The story carried on for 2 weeks running. Then when I came back, they tried to take me to my adoptive parents' house. I had been put back there after I'd taken 4 overdoses and 4 stomach pumps. Am I slaying dragons yet, Prince Harry? Yeah. So he said, oh, you can't stay there. Where we're going to put you? I know. And he dropped me in an Earl's Court brothel. The guy who owned it came round after he dropped me and said, you've been paid for 3 nights. After that, you can pay for your bed and board through working for me. Left his number. Phil used to come round and have sex with me. On one occasion when he did, he walked up and down the very small room and said, look what we do to people. You were a private investigator, but we've just destroyed you. He then left. He then took Tina Weaver, his girlfriend, back to this hotel in south of France where we'd gone. I had some savings and I didn't get paid for the story at all. They covered my expenses, which was £1,500 for my loss of earnings. And I took that and I had about, I think, £2,000 savings. And I went to America because I literally couldn't walk down the street without people who knew me saying, oh my God, you went and claimed you were Ian Brady's daughter. Well, of course I didn't. So people were spitting on me. I went to live in America, had a really bad time, lived in a down and outs hostel, got threatened by some guys who didn't like the English. Came back, begged one of the journalists, could I live with him? He put me up. And then I went out with another journalist, Mydrum Jones, and learned how to become a journalist. And this was because Fleet Street, and literally these guys would take me up to the pubs, and it became like my refuge. It became the place that knew that the Brady story was a load of shit. Nobody else did. Everyone thought that I claimed it and I was, a big bitch or crazy. It was my refuge. and people there would joke about it. Alex Marinchek would always joke about it, and it became my refuge, and I clung to that refuge for my sake of my mental health. I didn't want to lose it. I couldn't lose it. I would have gone under. All I had around that time was Ian Brady. Phil Hall had made me carry on writing to him. You'll be a real journalist if you carry on writing to him. And of course, it gets you involved with a dark force that, you know, I mean, I've been sexually abused. Do I need to interact with someone like that? I mean, it just cuts you off from other people. You feel different, even more different. And it just, you know, it cuts you off. When I started working for Fleet Street, sorry, I thought I could hear something. When I started working for Fleet Street, they knew it. They knew my story. They knew I was a car crash, and they didn't confront me until miles later. But looking back, they knew right from the start, and it was like, oh, you want to be a journalist, do you? Well, you can do our dirty work, and weren't you a PI? Ring this, ring that, and I knew that you're not allowed to do certain things, that you couldn't go to prison for data protections. No way I was going to go to prison. No way. Terrified of the idea of that. So when they would ask me to do something, I would think, well, say, you know, ring a clinic, someone's had a boob job. What you would do, you'd write down, look, there, done it, you know, oh, not doing it, and then you wouldn't do it. And then to cover the fact that you can't take money for doing nothing, I would ring round people's agents or stuff like that. As a journalist, I felt angry that people who were middle class, who'd had a mum and dad, who hadn't had trauma, who hadn't had to get into Fleet Street by shagging Phil Hall, I felt angry they were telling me to do dirty things. And I thought, fuck you, I'm not going to do it. Yeah, and did I realize that they thought that I was going to break the Data Protection Act? Well, yeah, but no way was I going to do it. No way. As for taking money, as I said, I would try and get them the story. If I couldn't, I'd think, well, fuck you, you owe me anyway. How about you didn't pay me for the front page stories? What solidified me with Ian Brady. So this is how I went on, but I was desperate to become a journalist and move away from that. And I seized my chance with John Boyle, brought him into Fleet Street. And of course, he brought the phone hacking in. Little known to me, I had no idea. The Sunday Mirror got stuck into phone hacking. This is in 1998. They got stuck into phone hacking because of Boyle, through Boyle. And the News of the World found out, and the News of the World then didn't want Boyle, so they nicked his office boy, which was Glyn Mulcair. So this is all how it happened. So all this is going on now has Ian Brady at the bottom of it. Isn't it kind of interesting somehow? But nobody wants to tell that story because I'm painted black. I can't be a victim in this, which I am. I have to be painted black. I have to be the bad guy because then Graham Johnson can't be the good guy. I mean, these people, it's weird. I mean, they don't think that God's watching everything. It's so weird the way they are. It stinks to high hell. But then you watch Palestinian children's being bombed and people not really giving a shit. And you think, yeah, it's the way people are these days. It stinks to high heaven. So I, after a while of working in Fleet Street, nobody asked me to do little tracing people and that kind of thing. This is literally months. They came to realize that I was highly intelligent and I could stand up stories. So they would come to me with a story that needed to be stood up, and I would use creative intuition and intelligence to tell them how to do it, to who to speak to what to say, and none of it was illegal. None. Zero. I am incredibly self-protected, and this is what I did for Fleet Street, and that is journalistic. And the more I did it, the more journalistic it got, and eventually I got to the point where I launched myself as a journalist and specialized in paramilitaries and defense. I went voluntary for the RAF and became a defense journalist and moved out to Belfast. I also became a Sunday Times bestselling author, sold 2 books, also then ended up, because I knew so much about Ian Brady, when I came across another serial killer, I put the 2 things together and I knew I had a theory about why they kill. I was trying desperately to make something of myself as a journalist after my past and get happy, I suppose. I thought if I became a journalist, I would get happy, and made my bylines in the Sunday Times. I was the only journalist to interview the Real IRA. I was the only journalist to interview C Company, Johnny Adair and John White when they split off. BBC, everyone were looking for them, but no, I got there. I've achieved things in my career, visited 2 serial killers and I went to see Brady again, and I have a theory about serial killers, which I think is a good theory. I've worked hard, I've worked my balls off, and Judge Fancourt comes along and listens to Graham Johnson singing my song and says, yeah, that's Christine Hart. Well, I'm sorry, Judge Fancourt, but he cannot sing for me. He's not an honest man. He's not a good man. He's out for himself. And I'm sorry you couldn't see that. I'm really sorry. As for a Met Police investigation, oh, I wholly welcome that. I like the police. I've never, ever been treated unfairly by them. I think they're fair people, and I think they'll understand I'm telling the truth. Now, I was interviewed by the BBC 3 times, and they were so pissed off they couldn't get me looking guilty. They couldn't, they didn't want my story. They wanted me to be painted black. Now, here's a message, and it's a message for Prince Harry. I'm in poverty because of this. My son suffered because of this. He won't have a Christmas. I can't afford to buy him a present, yeah? And you, as long as you're out there saying you're slaying dragons. Now, what I've done in my life, I've slayed dragons. Do you understand? I'm the one, all right? And, okay, public say, what a great guy. But actually, when I look in the mirror, I see somebody that slayed dragons. And I see another dragon that I have to slay, and it's this bullshit that's going on with, we're going to reform the press. The people that are involved in this are just concerned with themselves. They only care about themselves. They want to get money. Apparently on this Sienna Miller bullshit that I was accused of, that it was gloated, because she went in the Priory, she can't fight back. Susie Malice apparently did this phone call on wiping their asses, that it was me. They all went off to Dubai for a slap-up treats. So these people are getting their little treats out of this. They're getting, how much money are they making? Graham Johnson said he was doing it for free, yet he told me he was on $5,000 a month minimum, and then he got bonuses. So what's the truth? I don't think he was lying to me that day. Looked deep into his eyes, and there was no guile. No, he was on that amount of money. They offered Gavin Burrows $30,000 and $60,000, so there's money getting pocketed. Nobody's bothering to chase that, but apparently I could do that. Aren't I a hacker of bank accounts? What a load of horse shit, yeah? But it doesn't matter. You put that out because you're rich, you're privileged, you're allowed to, you can. And if you can, why not? Israel can bomb civilians in Palestine. If you can, why not? What I say is God's watching. This is what I say. God is watching. And at the end of the day, I sometimes ask myself why I'm here. Here I am in poverty. I can't afford to get my poor son a goddamn Christmas present. I'm going to be thrown out of where we're living. We can't afford the rent. I haven't got a job, so how can I get a new flat? And also, I can't carry on with my counselling courses. I'm being talked about too much, and it triggers me because it's not nice to be gossiped about, and then you have to pretend that you're not being gossiped about. I'm the persona non grata, the bad person in the class, the person that won't qualify as a counsellor because they've been named in a civil case. And yeah, so my life's been completely ruined about it. Still slaying dragons. Prince Harry, you slayed me. Am I a dragon? I don't think I'm a dragon. I know I keep God close. When I was evicted in 2018, I prayed and I went out into the fields and I prayed the Psalms. And I was in a magic group, and somebody said, pray this, and they gave me the passwords to the Psalms. I went out and called them out, and actually I was saved from the street, and my son was saved from the street. I believe we were going to be split up, I was told. If I hadn't had a son, if I didn't have a son I need to protect, I'd have killed myself over this false accusation, bullshit smearing that's going on, just being used as a piñata. I would have killed myself. Still slaying dragons, Prince Harry. Still think Princess Diana would be pleased about you doing that to me and my child? Or would you think Princess Diana would say, it doesn't matter, they're working class, slay dragons away? Is that what you think? As for me lying to her and targeting her, no. James Hanning came to me, I think it was 2019, said, did you speak to Diana? I said, Rupert Hamer, I believe Rupert Hamer, maybe Doug Kempster, said to me, they'd done something on Hasnat Calm, and Diana, here's her number, try and find out if it's actually her bedside number. I rang it, she said hello, I said hello, and then I stopped. I felt her energy, I'm an energy reader, and I thought, no way can you say anything that isn't 100% true to someone like that. I was going to say I was a journalist, and then I thought, I don't want to upset her. She's so beautiful, so precious, so angelic. And I put the phone down. And I said to Doug Kempster, I can't say that was Diana. I knew it was Diana. I couldn't. So I can't say it's Diana. I don't want to get involved. And he goes, okay, it doesn't matter. It's proven anyway. So that is what happened there. And James Hanning said, no, I need you to have spoken to her. So he said, what would you do if, you're trying to find out it was her? And I said, we'll make up something about a stolen watch. So this is the story. In return for saying that, I got my car fixed. So there is the story there. They went and ran a story saying I targeted Princess Diana when she was at her most vulnerable. Christine Hart destroyed her. And then Tina Brown, who hasn't got a brain, repeated it in the Palace Papers. Christine did this. So cruel and grotesque. They never want to find out the truth. They never want to ask for themselves. What shame. What shame. And, it left me in a position of being on the floor. I'm still on the floor. My flat has black mold everywhere. Every day I get up and I have to scrub it all. Every day we can't afford heating and it's bloody freezing. As I say, I wouldn't have gone on in life. I would have taken the option I used to turn to when I was younger, which I think if you're not loved and not wanted in this world, you come into the world not wanted. It's always there, suicide, on the back of your mind. And I would have done that if it hadn't been for the fact I have to keep going for my son. I know how cruel this place can be, and it's my job to protect him. But I have to say, each day is a struggle. It is. I wake up and I think, I might get told at any moment I have to leave here, and I'm scared of the street. I am. I'm scared. I'm scared of the cold, and I'm scared of him suffering, and just this kind of being falsely accused and being like a piñata and being lied about by Graham Johnson, of all people, this guy who nobody liked back in the day and who failed wherever he went, and I made more of a success of my life as a journalist than he ever did. That is jealous of me because of that, and gets to narrate who I am to the world, literally to the world, to important people like Prince Harry, Hugh Grant. That's not me. That's not me. That's not who I am. And he's done this to other people. He did it to Stephen Houghton. And I spoke to Stephen Houghton, who's recently come out of jail. And lots of people are interested in Stephen Houghton. He's got a lot of journalists speaking to him, powerful journalists speaking to him. And I spoke to him, and he's broken. And he said, I'm broken, Chris. I'm broken. Graham did this to me. He went up to Liverpool. He wanted a story. He got this poor, unfortunate kid that was a people pleaser. This is why I relate to Stephen Houghton so much. And he went, go and get a gun. It's £50. Get a gun from somewhere. And of course, on those very rough estates, people know people that have got piece of shit guns, some local nutter. Bring it back and pose and pretend you're a gangster. So Stephen Houghton did this, and then Johnson, he was 14, and then Johnson took the tape to the police and went, oh, I've got a gangster here. The guy did 5 years in cahoots with the BBC. He did this. The young boy served 5 years. He became so institutionalized, he then went back again. He's recently spent 3 years. He's now come out. He's broken. He said to me, Chris, I'm broken. That man broke me. And he was crying down the phone. And I said, listen, he's broken me. I said, I'm on the floor. I said, clean off black mold every day. I said, if it weren't for my son, I'd have committed suicide. I said, he's done this. And he says, not just you and me. He's done it to other people. And there's a whole posse of people out there that are aware of it, not just Gavin Burrows, but, powerful journalists. I mean, Gavin Burrows has had his wife threatened. I was threatened. He's gone out and said I threatened and abused him, yet he took me out to dinner with James Hanning. James Hanning still rings and texts me all the time. So why would they do that if I was a threatener or abuser? Why? I mean, it's just bullshit. What did I even say that was a threat? And then how come, and this is on tape, I've taped it, how come he took me out to dinner and bought me steak, pudding that he spooned, cocktails, Queen Elizabeth cocktails at the Ivy. The Ivy's awesome. And then he took me out with Bruce Goodison, the Sky guy who wanted to do a documentary about Mazin Mahmood. We went to the Picture and Piano. Where does Judge Fancourt talk about that? About all my help, about all my interviewing with the BBC. Where did he talk about that? He just made out that I had had some dealings with them and then pulled out. Well, no, I spent all summer with those guys. I was over the Richmond Park with the BBC. Where's all that in that judgment? It just portrays me as someone that I'm not, and it doesn't matter because it's the rich, and all this will make people pay. Oh, you really think you'll get executives? No, you won't. You'll get me, I'm guessing. Yeah, you'll get someone like me, and I'll be framed and probably interviewed by the police. I've been interviewed by the police, helped the police by becoming a voluntarily witness for Operation Wheating. I came forward, serve as a number to come forward for this. I want to be the first one to ring it. But this will be what will occur. They'll try and set me up. I tell you this, and I've been praying against this because it's not good. It's not right. I trust that everything will be fine. I trust that there'll be someone at the end of the day that will tell this story how it really is, and it won't be bloody James Hanning. As soon as I read that affidavit was used in that when it was supposedly for a book by James Hanning, I thought, oh, really? Someone will come along. Maybe Michael Gillard. He's certainly got a good writing skill to tell the whole story and tell the story of these people and how they've behaved. My Evan Harris threatened me in front of my child, yeah? And my son's big now. He can talk about this in court. He said, you can do it the nice way or the nasty way. My son was 12, you know. I mean, what is wrong with me? Why didn't I get the lemon tart? I was eating lemon tart in this French restaurant outside Q, sitting outside. I should have got that lemon tart and stuffed it in his face and said, fuck off, you slimy, greasy moron. You do not threaten women and children. Did your mother teach you nothing? I swear, if my son had any of those traits that those men do, these men involved in this, then I would disown him. Prince Harry, I believe, has been lied to. What a shame. But if he wants to slay dragons, he has to be like Diana. He has to get to the truth of things. And being surrounded by sharks isn't the way, actually, isn't the way. Slaying dragons would be to speak up for the Palestinians. Child murder that's going on. I've been posting it on my Twitter, Christine Hart PI. Isn't it weird that Justice Fancourt kept repeating Graham Johnson's trashy, bullshit, badly written book? I thought, what is this? What's going on? I mean, even Nick Davies, when I was helping him with his book, Hack, is it called that? He said to me, oh, Graham Johnson's written this about you in your book. And I was like, what? And he said, don't worry, Chris, nobody reads his books. But there was the judge plugging it. So something sinister is going on. Something sinister is afoot. I'm being really blackened. And since Graham got drunk one time and said in one of our many dinners out, oh, cool, busy threatening him. Maybe I did it over dinner, huh? Maybe it's a sexual kink. So on one of our many dinners out that I've taped, because people told me at the time to tape it, all of them, he said, oh, we want to get the Daily Mail. We want to destroy the Daily Mail like we did the News of the World. Well, it was John Boyle that when they nicked his office boy, he went to his police contacts and took down the News of the World. It wasn't Nick Davies, it wasn't The Guardian, it wasn't Hacked Off, it was John Boyle. You know, that man that nobody ever writes about or profiles. So, of course, he's rich, though, so we don't want to do that. And he also told me that Hugh Grant wanted to destroy the newspaper because he had something against it. I don't know what that is. Graham did tell me at the time. I haven't listened back to these tapes. I find them disturbing because I believed his friendship. I actually, when I heard that he was saying that I threatened him, I cried. And I sent him an email and said, you must be mentally ill. And don't worry, you'll never hear from me again. And then he went back in court the next day and said I'd sent him another threatening email. So then I put that email on Twitter. He's actually dangerous. Actually, if he were a woman, I'd be worried that he would accuse me of rape. I really seriously would. He's one of those kind of dangerous people that would say anything. So I actually feel sorry for him is the point I'm at now because, yeah, strangely I do. I feel sorry for him. This is the point where we are now, and I believe that I'm painted black because I work for the Daily Mail. As a journalist, how could I have been a journalist? How could I have gone from PI to suddenly out there with my bylines in the Sunday Times? It just doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. You need to build up experience over many years as a journalist, knowing what to do, knowing how to get interviews, knowing how to talk to people. This is not in Judge Fancourt's statement. So they want to attack the male, and they want me to be as black as possible, and then they can throw me at the accusing me of criminal things, and then throw me at the male. So this is what's going on, and I have to say, Judge Fancourt, I'm scratching my head and looking at you. Do you not care about other people? Do you not want to hear my life, my story? Does Prince Harry not want to hear my life, my story? I don't know. This is all makes me feel really sad. I feel very sad. It makes me feel just that sadness is coming, you know, not fear, because I'm at the bottom and I suppose the next stage is the street. But every morning when I wake up, I think I might end up on the street. And I'm kind of mentally prepared for it. I kind of relate to the Palestinians and what they're going through, and the terror, the fear of life itself, which I feel. So I can't be pushed down anymore. But this is how I feel when I read that, what's happened recently, and that Judge Fancourt putting that out there. And I'm going to leave the counselling course, because I'm not going to walk in there on when we go back and have the air be thick, as with them sort of looking at me. Oh, we know that about you. We've been Googling you. I mean, what the fuck? And people not get on with their own lives, and you'd think people trained to be counsellors. So that is in the bin. And I just feel sad that is the narration that goes out about one when one isn't like that. And it reminds me when I was younger about my mother going around telling the whole neighbourhood that I was evil, and feeling that isolation of their children not wanting to play with me and being just alone. And I think it puts me back where I just feel very alone. And you can talk to this one and that one, but you still just feel very, very alone, you know? And I was talking to my son about it last night, and was reading it, and I said, they've been accusing me I'm a computer hacker now. And he said, it doesn't matter. And then this morning, I woke up and I got a message from him, and message was, thank you for my prizes, mummy, I love you. And I just thought, yeah, that makes my life worth living. And fuck these men that can just say what they want, and no one has human rights. Fuck them. I actually think that maybe I do have a mission here, that I do have a purpose, and that is to show how people can just be battered about by the system. And I mean, the Crusader Rescue will never pay for what they did to me. They passed me to people that you shouldn't have even given a dog to. They'll never pay for that. Even when I was speaking to the woman, I said, can I get sorry from you? She said, well, I wasn't here at the time. I mean, come on. And then I was interviewing Brian Barrett on my show, podcast. And he went, I'm really sorry you suffered that. And I thought, that's just what I need to hear from the Crusader Rescue, which is now the Catholic Children's Society. It's just what I want to hear from you. Sorry you went through that, because you people did that to me. And I guess if that hadn't happened, they hadn't given me to them, there'd be no saga that's going on at the moment. There'd be no phone hacking, because there'd be no John Boyle. There'd be no me getting to know Brady, and so there'd be no me getting involved in the press. So none of this would have happened. It's a really weird thought. I would have had a nice life. I always wanted to be a doctor. I'd be a doctor. I would have married. My son would have had, instead of a single mother being outcast by the married women, I would have had whatever they had. I'd have had normality. I'd have, at my age now, I would have safety from the streets. And but I think that we're put here for a reason. I wasn't put here to have that life. I was put here maybe to expose the system, So I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. And I'm going to end it here. Thank you.